Good afternoon. I have a few thoughts to share now that the trial has ended. First, I told the truth to the FBI, and the jury clearly recognized that with their unanimous verdict today. I'm grateful to the members of the jury for their careful and thoughtful service. Despite being falsely accused, I'm relieved that justice ultimately prevailed in my case. As you can imagine, this has been a difficult year for my family and me. But right now, we are just grateful for the love and support of so many during this ordeal, and I'm looking forward to getting back to the work that I love.
All right, guys, so the swamp has found itself not guilty of any wrongdoing. And in this case, the wrongdoing is lying to the FBI, which is exactly what former Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman did when he went to the FBI, okay, pretending like he doesn't represent anybody but himself, but actually really representing the Clinton campaign and also getting paid from the Clinton campaign, okay, at the same time, stating, hey, I have this evidence that, the Trump campaign is linked to some bank in Russia, right? Again, I'm not working for the Clintons. I'm just a nonpartisan, unbiased informant, right? That's what he presented himself as. However, again, there's mounds of evidence to suggest that he was lying, okay? And the FBI knew that he was lying, which could be the reason why he got off, but I'm just saying, it is obvious that he lied, okay? He lied to the FBI. He committed a crime that he should have been found guilty of. However, he wasn't, okay? And the reason why he wasn't, guys, is because, again, Democrats never eat their own. Or at least put it this way, the establishment Democrats never eat their own, okay? The far left, they always eat their own, right? They're constantly eating their own. But on the contrast, on the other side, the Republican Party, on the other hand, look at January 6th, okay? They ate their own all day long. They had a plate full of eating their own on January 6th. But see, Democrats won't do that. It doesn't matter how obviously guilty the person is. Doesn't matter the corruption, okay? It doesn't matter if it results in violent extremism, like, what happened with the BLM protests and Antifa, them protesting the appointment of Judge Brett Kavanaugh, okay, to the Supreme Court, or trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices because of Roe v. Wade potentially being overturned, or even if it comes to election conspiracies, which is kind of what this guy, Michael Sussman, helped birth, okay? The greatest lie ever told, okay, in regards to election conspiracies, which is the Trump collusion hoax, okay? Which, again, this is what this guy tried to sell to the FBI, that later got a whole lot of attention from the public, okay? And we spent taxpayer dollars investigating this lie that ultimately came from the Clinton campaign itself. A lie that was created and funded by taxpayer dollars in an effort to potentially try to change the outcome of the 2016 election, to influence the outcome of the 2016 election, and then after President Trump was actually elected, to overturn the outcome of the 2016 presidential election, okay? Because from day one, as soon as Trump got into office, the Democrats said that we are going to impeach him, okay? And they tried to use the whole Russia collusion hoax as reasoning for why they want to impeach a man before he can even get his butt in the seat of the Oval Office, right? Again, this right here, guys, again, was taxpayer-funded attempt to overturn the 2016 election. This was a taxpayer-funded insurrection, okay? That is what this was. And you would think that somebody would get punished for it, especially how we have solid evidence that this guy lied to the FBI about who he was representing when he was pushing what ultimately became a taxpayer-funded attempt at an insurrection. But like I said, the Democrats never eat their own, and Michael Sussman was tried by a peer of his fellow Democratic colleagues, okay, people who allegedly were donors to the Democrat Party. So it seemed like he was playing with a home field advantage here, and that ultimately is probably why he got off. So with that being said, let's read about this, because this is an absolute shame, okay? It really is. Republican lawmakers decried Tuesday acquittal of former Hillary Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman by a federal jury Tuesday, with one GOP senator calling it, quote, proof there are separate systems of justice in America. Facts, okay? Sometimes I feel like our justice system is doing the right thing. I feel like he's in good shape when it comes to some trials and some stories. And then there's other stories like this where I just feel like there's no hope. Okay, there's no hope at all, right? Sussman was found not guilty of a single count of lying to the FBI when he passed the Bureau now discredited information in 2016, linking then candidate Donald Trump and Russia. The jury in the 2-week trial was drawn from a heavily Democratic Washington, D.C., and the judge in the case was appointed to the federal bench by President Barack Obama. Again, this guy's playing with home field advantage. Home field advantage. Quote, I'm shocked the D.C. Clinton donor jury let Clinton's lawyer off. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. Absolutely no one is shocked. Tweeted former first son Donald Trump Jr. Quote, Hunter Biden off next, then Paul Pelosi, etc., etc. We all know how this goes by now. Only people not tied to the establishment DC swamp ever face accountability. Facts. Facts. Echoing Trump Jr.'s language, the official Twitter account of the House Judiciary GOP posted, quote, the swamp always protects its own. Quote, further proof, there are separate systems of justice in America, one for liberal Democrats and their elite backers, and one for everyone else. Sad, tweeted Senator Ron Johnson. Well, also throw in all the criminals in the inner city, right, who the Democrats seem to be going soft on as well. Letting the criminals run the asylums across America known as these big liberal cities, right, which is kind of what DC is, right? It's run by a bunch of crooks and criminals, aka the Democrat Party, right? That's kind of how it goes. So I can see why they let themselves off. Criminals are getting let off across the country. Senator Marsha Blackburn also joined the criticism, saying, quote, Michael Sussman lied to the FBI about working for the Clinton campaign when he brought forward false allegations against President Trump that Hillary personally approved. Today's verdict, while deeply disturbing, is not the end to ensuring this never happens in America again. Special counsel John Durham himself took his courtroom defeat gracefully, saying in a statement that while he and his team were disappointed by the outcome, quote, we respect the jury's decision and thank them for their service. Legal experts said they were not surprised by the verdict and that Durham was behind the 8 ball from the start due to pretrial rulings by Judge Christopher Cooper as well as potential jury bias. Quote, the Durham prosecutors were facing extremely adverse conditions in this trial. George Washington University Law School professor Jonathan Turley told the Post, quote, Judge Cooper imposed strict limits on the scope of the evidence and possible examinations that prevented the prosecution from showing the origins of this information and the broader role of the Clinton campaign. Yeah, so this guy, again, was not working with a full deck here. But again, that's just kind of how it goes, right? When you go against the establishment. The jury composition was also challenging, Turley added. In a city that voted over 90% for Clinton, this was a nightmare jury pool. The judge also rejected requests to bar a couple jurors who raised legitimate concerns over their objectivity for the prosecution. In one instance, during jury selection, Cooper overruled prosecutors' objections to seating a man who had donated to Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, noting the prospective juror had, quote, expressed a high degree of confidence that he could be impartial. So basically, this judge was like, anybody that is obviously biased in favor of the Democrats are qualified to be on this jury, right? In fact, you're so qualified, I'm not going to let you off. Okay, even though it is clear that you can't be objective, because subjectivity is actually what we're looking for. We're not looking for objectivity, subjectivity, right? We want bias. Despite Sussman's acquittal, Turley claimed the evidence against the attorney was remarkably strong. However, the prosecution faced a virtual obstacle course of adverse rulings and other challenges, he reiterated. Former federal prosecutor James Trusty also noted concerns about the jury, pointing out that 3 panelists had voted for Clinton in the past and contributed to her campaign. That should be automatically disqualifying. Okay, you can't find somebody that didn't donate to Clinton. Okay, I can understand, okay, maybe you voted for Clinton, right? But I think donating is a little bit too biased, right? I mean, you only can choose 2 people for president. Okay, so I get it. Okay, yeah, you vote for Clinton, I get it. But donating to her campaign, this is crazy. You had Clinton campaign donors on the jury, and the judge was like, no, this is fine. Right? You guys are going to be totally objective. Again, this is just obvious corruption on top of the corruption, right? This is corruption to cover up the corruption. And it's just right in front of your face, right? Right in front of the face of the American people. It's insane. The jury selection had to have been worrisome from the first day for Durham's team, he told the Post, adding that he was only a little surprised by the verdict. If the government gets stuck with really bad partisan jurors, you take your acquittal in stride and you have no legal recourse. Trustee went on, adding that it is generally easier to make mistakes in jury selection that benefit the defense. Despite the uproar, not all legal experts are convinced the government had a slam dunk case on its hand. Quote, the evidence was there, but the government did a terrible job trying this case. They would have had a hard time getting conviction with an actual neutral jury based on how their evidence was presented, wrote Virginia lawyer Leslie McAdoo Gordon on Twitter. Quote, let me put it in another way, she added. In this jurisdiction with the judge, Durham's team should have been making it hard for the jury to acquit, but they didn't. McAdoo Gordon did not respond immediately to the Post's request for a further comment. All right, so basically she's saying Durham didn't do a good job on this trial, which in my opinion, I don't think it mattered how good he was, okay? This guy was never going to be found guilty, okay? And again, the reason why is because he's playing with a home field advantage, okay? The Democrats are not going to find this man guilty of knowingly lying to the FBI. He worked for Clinton, okay? He worked for the Clinton. Who's the establishment of the establishment? Again, if these people actually cared about justice, Hillary Clinton herself would be in jail. Okay, what she did was clearly illegal in regards to conducting official State Department business on her own private email server. Clearly illegal. Anybody else who would have did that would have been in jail, right? In jail. But she got away with it because she's a part of the elite. And in this case, if they actually would have found this man guilty, I think that would have opened the door for more investigations into Hillary herself, especially considering how a Clinton campaign official basically came out and said, yeah, she gave the go-ahead to release this story to the public, right? She was directly involved in coming up with the Trump collusion hoax, okay, which is something we knew about for a long time. It is just now being admitted by somebody in the Clinton campaign that was the case. So with that being said, again, this is unfortunate, but I guess the good thing is that it's just so obvious and so blatant at this point that nobody should be able to deny it, that this is what happens in the DC swamp. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.